Trillions of naira have been budgeted for roads, ports, and infrastructure. So why is Nigeria still struggling with bad roads and poor maintenance? And what did WTO boss Okonjo-Iweala mean when she said budget alone won't build roads? As we break down her message at the 2026 Delta Economic Summit, why excursion, maintenance, and planning matter more than money, and what it means for states like Delta, Rivers, and the rest of Nigeria. I'm Chimezrim Okoro. Let's get into the news. Nigeria's infrastructure crisis is not only about the amount of money allocated for projects, but also about how effectively those resources are managed, executed, and maintained. The warning has come from Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, who has called on Nigeria to develop a stronger maintenance culture and focus more on execution rather than simply increasing budgetary allocations. Speaking at the 2026 Delta State Economic and Investment Summit held on Monday, Okonjo-Iweala said government fundings alone cannot guarantee quality roads, reliable infrastructure, or sustainable economic development.
State seaports, export terminals, and commercial centers provide a base for port services, ship repair, and marine logistics. The question is, what investment is needed in these ports or marine services to enable Delta State to take better advantage of this natural endowment? So this is the kind of development that would make for very good jobs for our young people. Turn Delta State into a marine logistics hub. So that's the other request I have for you. Turn it into a marine logistics and ship repair hub.
Her message comes at a time when Nigerians continue to express concern over the state of roads, transportation networks, and public infrastructure across the country. But the bigger question is, why does Nigeria continue to struggle with infrastructure despite years of huge budget allocations? And what needs to change to ensure public investment creates lasting impact? At the summit themed Harnessing Our Strengths, Unlocking Our Potentials, the WTO chief explained that economic progress depends not only on available resources, but also on the ability to properly execute development plans. According to her, Nigeria has significant natural and economic advantages, but those advantages cannot produce meaningful results without proper planning and implementation. Endowments alone do not add value. Budgetary allocations alone do not lead to new roads to good maintenance, Okonjo-Iweala said. The former Nigerian finance minister stressed that one of the country's major challenges in the absence of a strong culture of maintaining public infrastructure after it has been completed. We lack a maintenance culture in the country. We need maintenance. We need better ports and digital infrastructure and lower trade costs. Execution is what matters, and successful execution requires focus. It requires prioritization, she added. Her comments reflect a long-standing concern among development experts who argue that Nigeria often focuses heavily on building new projects while paying less attention to maintaining existing ones. Across many parts of the country, roads that were once described as major achievements have deteriorated because of poor maintenance, flooding, heavy usage, and weak monitoring system. The impact of poor infrastructure goes beyond inconvenience for citizens. For businesses, damaged roads and inefficient transport networks increase the cost of moving goods, reduce productivity, and make Nigerian products less competitive in local and international markets. Okonjo-Iweala also highlighted the importance of economic stability, particularly at the federal level. She said improvements in exchange rate management and efforts to control inflation will strengthen the ability of states to attract investment and achieve sustainable growth. According to her, the progress recorded in some areas shows that Nigeria is moving in the right direction, but continued reforms and effective implementation remains necessary. The WTO Director General also encouraged Delta states to position itself as one of Nigeria's major economic centers alongside Lagos, Kano, and Port Harcourt. She argued that creating additional economic hubs will help reduce pressure on existing commercial centers and spread investment opportunities across the country. Delta State, which is rich in oil and gas resources, has significant economic potential. However, Okonjo-Iweala warned that natural resources alone cannot guarantee prosperity without proper infrastructure, investment planning, and responsible use of public funds. She urged the Delta State government to maintain fiscal discipline and channel public resources into productive investments that can generate long-term economic benefits. The 2026 proposed budget of 1.664 trillion naira prioritizes increased capital expenditures as part of the efforts to move Delta onto a higher growth path, she said. The economist also supported Delta's plan to develop special economic zones, describing them as effective tools for attracting industries and encouraging investments. Special economic zones are designed to create business-friendly environments where companies can operate with better infrastructure, improved regulations, and access to skilled workers. Okonjo-Iweala explained that such zones allow governments to concentrate resources in strategic locations and create conditions that encourage industrial growth. With Delta State gas access and working with the federal government, you have an important ingredient for the essential infrastructure, she said. However, she warned that successful industrial zones require more than government announcements. She explained that investors need reliable electricity, good roads, rail connections, water supply, digital connectivity, and efficient regulatory system. Without these foundations, she said, attracting and retaining businesses would remain difficult. Her remarks have renewed discussions about Nigeria's approach to development, especially regarding the relationship between government spending and actual results. Over the years, successive administrations have announced major infrastructure projects and allocated billions of naira for developments. However, many projects have faced delays, cost increase, abandonment, or deterioration because of poor execution, weak supervision, and inadequate maintenance. Economic analysts have repeatedly argued that Nigeria does not necessarily suffer from a lack of resources, but from challenges in planning, accountability, and implementation. Okonjo-Iweala's message is that development is not measured only by the size of a budget, but by the quality of outcomes delivered to citizens. A road project is not successful simply because it has been constructed. It becomes successful when it remains functional for years later and continues to support economic activity. A port is not valuable only because it exists. It must operate efficiently and reduce costs for businesses. Digital infrastructure must not only be announced, but must provide real opportunities for citizens and companies. As Nigeria continues efforts to attract investment and improve economic growth, the challenge will be ensuring that government policies translate into visible improvements in people's daily lives. For states like Delta seeking to become major investment destination, the message from Okonjo-Iweala is clear. Resources matter, but execution matters more. The future of Nigeria's infrastructure will not depend only on how much money is allocated. It will depend on whether leaders can build systems that deliver projects efficiently, maintain them properly, and ensure that public investment continue creating value long after they are completed. I'm Chimejim Okoro, and I will see you soon.